tell me very quickly if you can actually hear me, because I didn't get a chance to retest this microphone. What I'm going to do very quickly myself is I'm going to start playing this and see if I can hear it. So welcome back to the program. Night Owls from Greenville, South Carolina. Yes. Hang on a second. Let's see if I got it. So welcome back to the program. Night Owls. All right, it's working. There you go. We're cooking with Sterno here. But you know what? It is Night Owls, and Night Owls wouldn't be complete without a little bit of music. So this one's in honor of South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa. Many of you know this song, Pala Pala Nights. Money stuffed in my sofa. Where else would you put it? Why? Who needs a bank? Just hide that money in the sofa. Cyril.
Money stuffed in my sofa.
A treasure untold.
Cyril's got a game right. Stories unfold. Pala pala.
Ritzy joint. Glimmer and gold. Stay overnight, don't you stray. Couch cushions hide a rainy day. Where the secrets play. Under the cushions, the cash will stay.
Don't give it away.
Rainy day. $580,000. Money laundering, torture, kidnapping, perversion of the means of justice. It's just another day at Pala Pala. Hey, Cyril, come clean.
Antelope roam where the moonlight beams. Luxury whispers in velvet dreams. Cyril laughs, but nothing's as it seems. Game of chance or a clever scheme. Hidden fortune stitched in the seam. You never know till you're caught in the stream. Pala pala, where the secrets play. Under the cushions, the cash will stay. Pala pala, don't give it away. Rainy day, rainy day. Under the cushions, the cash will stay. Pala pala, don't give it away. Rainy day, rainy day. Hey.
All right, servus tous, je suis très heureux que vous êtes là avec nous. Non, je ne suis pas seul ce soir. Il y a les autres gens dans la chambre avec moi. Servus, grüß Gott, wie geht's? Wir sind wieder da. Unsere Sendung heute Abend kommt aus South Carolina. Pala Pala Nights. Okay, so I've got to address some fake news propaganda already appearing in the chat. Welcome, folks. Yes, I know I don't do Saturday night owls, but you know what? I couldn't sleep. I was tortured in an interview earlier. This guy cornered me and asked me these bullshit questions that I answered most assiduously. No, actually, it's I'm joined by the folks that are on this trip with me here. They're sitting here just enjoying this. I hope they're enjoying it, I will say. But Stefan says, hey, Chris, I hope you're well. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, you know, fair to Midland. I'm doing the refugee process and recently read that the process being put on hold due to lawsuits. Is that true, or could you potentially let us know a bit about the situation? Fake news, yellow journalism. It's not put on hold. Let me explain. Okay, so last year, Church World Service, which in my view has a conflict of interest, filed a lawsuit along with several of these other refugee agencies. And, you know, I don't know that the Southern Poverty Law Center or, you know, the American Criminal Liberties Union were involved, but organizations like that filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration last year in February because he stopped the refugee program. What you're reading about is old news that's being recycled by media outlets that are yellow journalists. They're fake. And let me explain to you. There's no new lawsuit. The program is not on hold. We are processing South Africans every single day. I know this, and they're arriving every single day, almost of the month now. What you're getting is news that's talking about the program, but it hasn't ceased. The lawsuit hasn't stopped it. There was another decision related to something unrelated to the refugee program that came out this past week by a federal judge. And that had to do with the standards that Trump was applying for asylum cases. But that's not refugee. That's different. So that's not true. They're still processing refugees, but not from the rest of the world. So, I mean, if you're from Kenya or you're from Somalia, you're kind of tango uniform. Nothing's happening. But as far as South Africans, if you're eligible, if you're a South African in South Africa, if you are of Afrikaner ethnicity or a racial minority, and you're suffering from past unjust persecution or have genuine concerns about future persecution, Hermanus Johannes Erlang, thank you for the 70 Rand salty crack fund. Yeah, appreciate that. It's almost mid-month, and we're behind last month's pace. Thank God I don't do this for money because I've eaten cardboard for dinner. Anyway, so seriously, that's not true. That's old news. So I would not lose any sleep over it. If you are interested in the South African refugee program, I'm not encouraging you to participate in it, but I'm also not discouraging. Do what you got to do. I don't live in your shoes. I don't sit in your boots. So I can't tell you that you're suffering from persecution unless you tell me your circumstance. I can say whether I agree with it. But if you feel you are and you meet the qualifications and standards that make you eligible for the program, then just do what you got to do, man. Simple as that. All right. So anyway. All right. So we start off with Pala Pala. I was going to start with another one, but I thought that'd be nice for tonight. Anyway, given that I didn't announce this stream and it wasn't posted in advance, with YouTube, if you don't post your stream at least 30 minutes before you launch, they don't notify anybody. I mean, that's fine. That's what they do. And there's like 25 minutes I put this thing up. So given that I didn't tell anybody about it, we got 60 people here already. That's awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Not exactly our news time broadcast of 500 to 1,000, but hey, on a night owl, 60 for my news program a couple years ago. That was a nice audience. So thanks for being here. All right. So it is Night Owls, and I do say hi to folks in the chat, especially because the Night Owls, I still do it because it's more intimate. There's fewer people. When I've got 500 people chatting, it's hard to recognize everything. But tonight, eating the Sloth Puppy. Sloth Puppy is an OG. He's one of the original gangsters, been with us for 6 years. Good to see you there, Sloth Puppy. Spartan Burger, meeting you today was an amazing experience from Paul. Well, thank you, Paul. It was quite the experience for me as well. I really appreciate that. We're going to talk about that meet and greet today and something that happened there. All right? People need to know about that. I'll make a video about that, analyze it later on. But I just want to let you know about it. So, Jean Bobby John, welcome to you. Hermanus Johannes Erlang, bye donkey for the super chat. I'll use that for my Audi TT purchase. I'm not buying an Audi TT. I can't afford that crap. Pat Schultz, hey, good evening to you. Dylan Combert, now there's an OG. Dylan Combert, you're an OG. He's been with us forever. Dylan came to my first meet and greet that I did at Woodbridge Island back in 2022 and has come to every one of them since then. Dylan's a rock star. Dylan, how you doing tonight? James Duvall and Ronel Cloti. I always mispronounce that name. Afrikaans is challenging at times. Martin Fundameva, welcome to you. You're loving the mini interviews. I'm loving the ones with the kids. The kids, look, the things kids say. They say the darndest things. You don't know what they're going to do, right? But I'll tell you, it's pretty cool. I mean, the Gideon interview, that kid was just dynamite. And then we had the other interview. I've got another junior refugee interview today that I haven't processed yet. If I'm not knackered when this is done, I'll edit it and put it up tonight. Because, if I put it up 6 hours ahead, people watch it. But if I wait till the morning, it's already late afternoon and it'll die a quick death. All right. So, Miki, welcome to you. And Adrian, welcome. And Safa Loading. And who we got? Judy DeMeyer, welcome to you. DeMeyer. Scoutalicious is back. CBB, there is an OG, and that's one of the best viewers, and I consider a personal friend. She's a rock star. She has just been amazing over the years. People ask me about the meet and greets. Like today, we had over 60 people. I didn't do a head count, but I got a photograph. We had probably, I'd say maybe 75 showed up, and they weren't all from Greenville. Some drove in from outlying areas and came here. I think somebody actually came from Charlotte today down. Don't hold me to that. I'll stand on correction. But people ask about meet and greets, and I tell them, I said, when I started doing these in 2022, if people show up, that's great. If they don't, that's fine. I'll get a dinner. I'll get a drink. I just make use of the time. And when I offered to meet people at the Cradle of Humankind in the Mahalisburg, one of my favorite places in South Africa, Mahalisburg, go quad biking there, horseback riding there. You can do zip lining there. But those zip lines aren't as cool as some of the others, but they're still all right. And you do a lot of stuff in Mahalisburg. Plus, you got the Cradle of Humankind and the Sterkfontein Caves. So I offered to meet everybody, and that's when I had my my dual blowout, where both the tires were blew out because of a pothole on my way to there. And it was my rainbow rescue, where the Indian shopkeeper helped me by giving me the tools. The Afrikaner kid got the tires off the vehicle. And then the Tswana guy who showed up, he had the other tools. And then he got a hammer out and beat the rims back into shape. He took me to a petrol station, and we put that tire back on. And then I drove to Brits, where I met with Herman Russ and stayed overnight in his farm. Of course, we went through the safety procedures, where the firearms are and what you have to do, and where the hide spots are for the kids, and things to watch if we have to go outside the building in case the farm gets attacked. Until you've lived it, that's pretty real. That's a nightly experience for South Africans and rural South Africa. It's pretty sad. But anyway, so I went there, and Herman Roast knew these guys down the street. They fixed tires. Went down there. They put that thing on the machine that bends the rim back in shape. I drove 4,000 kilometers on that rim after it had been bent. That was something else. But that was my rainbow rescue. That's what I talked about in 2022. Anyway, but for that meet and greet, I thought a bunch of people were coming to it. Oh, we're going to come. We'll see you. It's close to Joburg. We're going to come see you. We'll be there, Colonel. We promise. Nobody came except CB. She was there. First time I met her in person. She's an OG, man. She's a rock star. And she does some really cool stuff for kids. So that's awesome. Let's see who else we got there. I got the super chat already. Chris Ehlers is here. Chris has been here for a long time. He's an OG. Nicholas Phelps, do you advise South Africans that a Democrat future administration could revoke their... Nope. I don't advise that because it's not true. Okay, I've talked about this. So, okay, because it's night owls, I'll entertain all this refugee stuff. But again, this isn't about refugees. But if you want to ask questions of any topic, you can ask it tonight. So you will not lose your refugee status, whether you're from Somalia or from South Africa or from Myanmar, unless you've defrauded my government by lying and getting status you're not entitled to. That can be revoked. Or you commit such an egregious offense, they decide to deport you. But I'll tell you that most times when a refugee or someone in America commits a serious crime, they prosecute them and put them in jail here. We feed them while they're in prison. So that's not likely. They might deport you after you serve your 20 years for murder or whatever it is, culpable homicide. But the only way you're going to lose your refugee status, in theory, is if the underlying conditions that warranted your refugee status are ameliorated. There's a big word alert. I like big words. So if it's improved. So let me ask you this question, because I've said this many times. If I were a USCIS officer and I were adjudicating your case, and you told me that all these laws are based on race. So for instance, you can't get promoted in the private corporation work in because the Employment Equity Act adjustment just occurred because only 4.3% of the middle and senior managers can be white. That's unjust racial persecution. The people that are getting hired shouldn't be black, white, brown, Indian. They should be hired because of the best people for the job, particularly in the private sector. It is the height of arrogance for a government to tell private corporations who they can hire, who are law-abiding citizens. I want my corporation to be run by the best. If they're black, awesome. If it's a Swana person, even better, because I love the Swan. If it's a white person, fine. If it's an Indian, fine. I want the best person. Merit is what matters in life, folks. Merit is what matters. And for a company to do that because they're forced to do it, that's just wrong. So if I were adjudicating a case and you came to me and said, hey, I'm concerned, 145 laws, and then a Democratic administration comes in here and I'm back here and we're reviewing cases and people want to send you back, I'm like, we can't send them back. Why? Well, the race-based laws are still there. How can they get a fair shake? This Indian guy who came over here 3 years ago, we're not going to send him back. He's not going to get a fair shake in South Africa. The laws are still there. Nothing's changed. So unless the situation is ameliorated, which it's not going to be, even if the ANC leaves government, the DA loves, and the DA is a left-of-center party. They love socialism. Oh, they do. They embrace it. You know the difference? The DA thinks that they can run the state-owned enterprises. Oh, only if the DA ran Transnet and Eskom and Airports Company South Africa and SAA, well, they would work perfectly, except it won't. The private sector should be the private sector. The government's job is to ensure a level playing field so that everyone has a fair chance to compete there. And if someone has a monopoly or has abusive practices, then the government intervenes. The government sets rules and regulations, standards of food safety, for instance. The government sets safety regulations for operation of workplaces. That's the role of government, not to pick and choose winners. That's wrong. Let me ask you this question. Who thinks that any politician in Washington, D.C., or in London, or in Berlin, or in Pretoria, in the case because the parliament's in Cape Town, has any idea how to run corporations? Some do, but very few. What they're good at is passing laws, sapping your liberty. They take your freedom away. That's what they do. That's what governments do. Now, I'm not an anarchist. We don't need those idiots. That's how terrorism started. We had anarchists in America at the beginning of the 20th century. But governments should be small and under control of the people that govern. That's what should happen. But that isn't the case. And certainly not the case in South Africa, and certainly not the case in Washington, D.C. We can level a lot of criticism of Washington as well. It's amazing now that I have to wear these stupid reading glasses, how much my close-up vision is degraded. I didn't realize it was that bad, so I took them off. So Karen von Vijk arrived late, watching from the beginning. Love the choice of music. Thank you. All right. Candace is here. Who else we got? Bosch Demra. Laverne Fundameva. What is the next administration decides white South Africans minors are being, you mean not persecuted? They are being persecuted. What if they're not? Well, then if the conditions change, it depends when it happens. If it's 5 years from now and South Africans who are here have applied for permanent residency, they're not going to go back. Once you get to the 1 year point, you have permanent residency. It's not 1 year you get it. You have to apply it 12 months. Then you have to wait. Bureaucracy takes time. Let's say you get 18 months or 2 years. Then you're a permanent resident. Unless you do something, have that revoked, it doesn't matter. They can change whatever law they want. They're going to send you back. You're now a permanent resident. You have authorization to live here indefinitely, as long as you live here. Now, if you go live in South Africa for 6 months and then come back here, they can revoke your permanent residency, your green card. But once you have a green card, you're allowed to live and work here. So it doesn't matter. The refugee thing goes out the window. It doesn't matter anymore, other than the fact that for up to a period of 5 years, you're entitled to certain benefits through refugee agencies like cultural awareness, language training, assistance with resumes and things like that. But other than that, it doesn't matter that you are or were a refugee. You have a green card. Hey, a green card is the magic. That's the golden ticket, guys. So once you get a green card, and green cards are free to refugees. You don't pay for them. Although some of these agencies try to tell people this. Ingrid, what's going on? I haven't seen you. Varoshka's here. Hey, Varoshka. You start work on Monday, or did you start on Friday? I think you started Monday at that job. And are you still doing that? Because it was kind of far. Okay, Tinky Kieser's here. Dawn Janssen from Rensburg. Yeah, we had another Janssen from Rensburg earlier today interviewed. So we got more interviews coming up from the mints, the mini interviews, the mints I'm calling them. Anarchy's here. Charles Van Onselen, the voice of reason, in from Durban, from the Amazon Todi area. Charles, good to see you again. How are you going? How are things for you tonight? Okay, so we got some news here, guys. So just when you thought it couldn't get worse for the Department of Agriculture and my dear best friend, my favorite minister, John Steenhuisen, just when you thought it couldn't get worse, it has. Apparently, his chief of staff, who hasn't been fired, the one who insulted South Africa's farmers over foot and mouth disease. Remember that email? We've got the evidence of it, and Steenhuisen admitted that she did it. She wasn't fired. But Roman Kabanak was fired because he's a coward and kowtowed to the media, who attacked Roman Kabanak without having done anything other than hurt people's feelings in the past. Anyway, I'm not standing up for Roman Kabanak, but I'm just talking about the hypocrisy that Yana LaRue, who is insulting and making fun of the very people who are desperate for help from the ministry that is ostensibly there to serve their needs. And not only that, but listen to this. Steenhuisen's chief of staff to a farmer. I'll you up in court. Yep. Wow. So Agriculture Minister John Steenhuisen's chief of staff, Yana LaRue, allegedly told the CEO, of Free State Agriculture at NAMPO, the big conference, agriculture conference, that she would F them up in court. She later apologized to FMD response essay after leaked email revealed she dismissed her concerns. That's the other issue we talked about. And the Agriculture Department insists it remains committed to working with farmers to address foot and mouth. Really? When Minister Steenhuisen is asked by a South African journalist about the Sakalika case, he pretty much laughed about it. Well, they can sue. They can do what they want to do. We saw that. And now we see how his chief of staff sends emails mocking farmers who are desperate, who sent a legitimate request and response and was very thoughtful. I've seen the actual email. Sends it to two of the most senior people in the Ministry of Agriculture. And nobody bats an eye about how disrespectful and condescending and mocking this is of farmers. South Africa, only 13% of the land is arable. But the contribution to South Africa's economy by the agricultural sector is immense, much larger than that, a significant portion of GDP. And there are knock-on effects. I mean, people are already suffering because of the tariffs that got put in place and the loss of AGOA, which is kind of back in, not in. And there were big impacts on that for the wine sector, for the stone fruit sector, and for the agriculture sector in general. this is not a good look. You cannot be a servant of the people and mock the people. I mean, what are you, Marie Antoinette? Let them eat cake? Apparently she never said that, but unfortunately for Marie Antoinette, she didn't just lose her head, she lost the narrative, unfortunately. But that's just life. You know, the victors write history, so that's the problem there. But anyway, but you know, she wasn't even French, right? You guys know that. She was an Austrian princess, right? So Marie Antoinette. Anyway, but this is a bad look for Yana LaRue. And I haven't seen. So again, let's go back to what John Steenhuisen's email was. And so the criticism for John Steenhuisen shouldn't be leveled because the email, he didn't write it. But the culture of disrespect and mocking of farmers that is present. Remember, this is the same Minister of Agriculture that acts like the Soviet Union. Remember when they all went to Berlin with Theo de Jager from SAI, the Southern African Agriculture Initiative? They went there and the photograph was taken. And then when it came back, presto, changeo, magico. Ooh, it's like using Etch-a-Sketch. They erased Theo de Jager from the picture, just like the Soviet Union, as if he'd been liquidated. Remember that? These people can't be taken seriously. They can't be. I mean, honestly, the disrespect that they heap upon South Africa's farmers is unacceptable. It's wrong. These are own goals. I mean, look, it's like, I feel like I'm watching Bafana Bafana. I mean, these are own goals. There's no need for this. This is stupid. Even if they hate farmers, don't be dumb enough to say, look, I learned a very good lesson from Bill Gates. He didn't mean to teach it to me. In the 1990s, when Microsoft used monopolistic practices to drive Netscape out of business, Netscape was making over $600 million in revenue and making, if I recall correctly, something like $40 million in profit back then. You can't hold me to that because I don't remember. But it was $600 some million in annual revenue. They weren't making money from their browser, which was the best browser on the planet at that time. Microsoft's Internet Explorer was garbage. It was horrible. It didn't render pages well. Anyway, and it was slow and it was just ugly and clunky. But Netscape Navigator was the bomb if you were on the internet back then. They drove Netscape out of business by giving away that browser, and they used monopolistic practices. Well, Bill Gates and his people, Microsoft, thought they were clever. So they're busy typing up emails. Oh, we're going to drive them out. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. They admitted internally in the company, everything. But a little funny thing happened on the way to court. Email is subject to discovery. And Bill Gates learned the hard way that what you put in your email can be seized in a court case when you're being sued. And that's exactly what happened. That's why Microsoft wound up paying all that money to Netscape just before they went out of business and got bought up by, I think, American Airlines or something like that. And they're pretty much wiped out. But the bottom line is email is discoverable. Anybody in 2026 that thinks you can write an email or a WhatsApp message with all the screen grabs or something like that and not face consequences for it is not living in the real world. And how can somebody who is a lawyer and the chief of staff of a minister of the Department of Agriculture be so dumb as to put that in an email? And then it got forwarded to those senior people and they replied all, which included the originators of the message. So guess who got the message back? Wow. You know, you can't buy this kind of level of stupidity and incompetence. It just comes for free in South Africa and in DC. I'm not going to let DC off the hook. We got some stupid people there. But this is the issue with John Steenhuisen in this particular topic. I note an email originating from a ministry staff member. The email was in bad taste, and I've requested the person concerned to apologize to respective parties. We must continue to show mutual respect and always act in good faith. And there's more. Okay, yeah, we should show mutual respect, but this comes just a couple days after you mocked Sakalika's lawsuit, which you lost. You lost that over the vaccine. And apologize? I'm sorry, Mr. Steenhuisen, this is what you should have done. I'm aware that my chief of staff is accused of sending a disrespectful and assaulting email that mocked farmers who were here to serve. We're investigating the situation right now, and pending an outcome of the investigation, my chief of staff is suspended for the short term. Is no longer working while we sort this out. If in fact it's true, that is not behavior we tolerate. We have respect for the farmers and the farm workers in this country, and we will ensure that that attitude is not prevalent in our ministry going forward. That's what you do, even if you don't mean it. What do you need a lesson here? Gosh, you know, I take Rand, John. You want to pay me? I can help you with strategic communications. Even if you don't believe that, that's what you say. Now, I hope you believe it, but you don't go, I take note of an email and we told her to apologize. Well, that makes it all better. Oh, you know, I ran over your dog. I'm so sorry. Oh, look, he magically came back to life. Gosh, these stupid people anyway. Really drives me nuts, folks. Anyway, what do we got here? So if you guys been listening to this story, there's not enough information coming out about it. This is a weird one. So this German shipping heiress, did you guys hear about this one? Wow. So Limpopo police are investigating the death of a German shipping heiress and a family employee. They were both found dead less than 24 hours apart. Police say Caroline von Ransau was found with a gunshot wound on June 1st, a day after the financial manager Arno Kuhn was discovered dead. This one's bizarre. I don't know what happened there. I'm not going to speculate. Who knows what happened? But this heiress to the German shipping company apparently has made her home in South Africa and owned a bunch of properties. And who knows? I don't know what this is. We don't know if it's crime, if it's a love triangle gone right. We don't know. And speculating. So let's just wait and see till we find out information from SAPS about this one. But this is strange. Very strange. So, but people are asking about this one, but the tabloids are going to run with this one. But I'm trying to find where it said which, there's something in the story. This is from News 24, and this is an updated story. I don't see where it says which, she's an heiress to this shipping company. It's an Africa line. Oh, there it is. Deutsche Afrika Linien GmbH. GmbH is like PLC. It's a limited liability company, German for it, GmbH, GmbH. Anyway, so yeah, that's a pretty weird one. I don't know what's going on there. It's crazy stuff. All right, so let me get back to the chat. I'm sure I missed some chat while I was on a mini rant here, talking about my best friend, John Steenhuisen. Okay, so US, what's this? Okay, what's going on? This chat's, okay. Okay, that's where I was at. ANC would not have to reverse 140 rolls, and that is not going to happen. Would have to, yeah, it's not going to happen. No. Look, there are too many people in their base of support that would revolt on. They're already losing their base. The ANC is yesterday's fish, just like the DA. Sorry, DA. You're yesterday's fish. You better watch out for the PA, MK, and even the Freedom Front Plus is going to gain. That doesn't mean the ANC and DA are going away. I'm just saying that, you know, they're in trouble. Even if the unlikely event the DA holds majority in the next coalition, the race laws remain. Yes, John, the white agricultural minister, is a debacle waiting to happen. It would not surprise me if he joins the ANC government. Charles Reynolds says, okay. Dawn says, we don't watch soccer, but now have a team support. Go USA. Well, you probably support him more than I do. I'm not a soccer fan, but I was rooting for them against Paraguay. But we won 4-1, but what I saw, we should have won 7 or 8-1. They had some great attacking offense, but the passes in front of the net were atrocious. We missed 4 or 5, great shots on goal. Anyway, you can't get away with that against Spain. It just isn't going to work. Netscape, remember, yeah, Big Fish. I love Netscape. It was awesome. I used Netscape Navigator and Netscape Messenger. Netscape Messenger was the best POP3 email client I ever used, and that was 30 years ago. But most of it's web-based now, so people aren't using the POP3 clients much anymore, except corporations. Not give a hoot. No, he doesn't give a hoot. What else? Herman, I was going to ask about that, sir. Police first said motor accident, face orange. Oh, yeah, no, the German company said that she died in a motor accident. I don't know what's going on. That makes it all fishy. That could be a simple miscommunication. Honestly, it sounds weird, but it could be. So let's just wait and see before we speculate on that one. Hunting rifle. Well, that's not good. Ugh. People we have a repertoire for consonants who are called du papier. I don't know that one. Kind of unknown. I don't know that. Don't know that. That's a weird one. Anyway, so yeah, I'm caught up on the chat. So anyway, I don't usually do the night owls on Saturday night, but I was in a giddy mood. I'm sowing my oats here, feeling it. So anyway, so let me do a quick poll and see what you guys say about this. Since it is Saturday night, start a poll. What? That's a question answer. I don't want that. Come on. Laptop is. I like my 26-inch screen at home. I got 2 screens. So. Adrian just gave 140 Rand supporting the coffee fund for yourself, Professor G. All right, well, thank you for that. Do you like the mini interview format? Okay. For those of you who saw it, so I'll put a question there. Haven't seen it because I know that some of you haven't watched my content, and we're coming for you guys. I'm going to find you. If you're not watching my content, I'll find you. You know, I work for the intelligence community. You think you can hide from me? Anyway, yeah, so all right, so you got 3 options here in the poll. Let's see, we got 83 people right now. We ought to be able to get at least 20 or 30 responses. That's not really a representative sample. We got to get 100 for that. She studied at university where she learned critical race theory. I can show you where 80% of students don't see anything wrong with what we may find offensive. It's taking the workplace later. Alan, what are you talking about? Brazil won, Morocco won. Disappointing game for Brazil. Oh, yeah, but great game for Morocco. We saw Morocco score that goal. We were eating Mexican when Morocco scored that. It's pretty good. I wish they'd won it, but it's a good outcome for Morocco. Brazil, oof, That's a bit of a comeuppance for them. Anyway, so, excuse me. What else we got here? Interesting team for sure. Definitely in the shout. Go Brazil. And Big Fish, go Brazil. No, not go Brazil. Charles says, many of these are great for meet and greets. They are, and it doesn't take a lot of time, and we can also set the stage for people who are going to do a complete interview later on. But I'm telling you, I'm loving the ones with the kids. That was a lot of fun for me. But today, I got another interview with one of the junior refugees, and I'll get around to editing that and posting it pretty soon. But I think you're going to enjoy that. Anyway, are we back at war? Did Trump take us back to war? I don't know. I missed that. Iran, we're bombing them. We're not bombing them. Come on, we got to make our mind up here. Let's get this thing done or not get it done. But last I heard, we were close to a peace deal. It's close. I can taste it. It's that close. Tastes like victory. Not. Anyway, so let's just go take a look and see if anything came out on that. Okay. So back to the news and let's take a look at some of the media outlets. Trump says agreement to be signed Sunday. Ooh, and of course, the mullahs, the terror sponsors in Tehran are pushing back saying, no, they can just never behave themselves. They agree to the deal, and then they come back and say, no, that's not the right time. So let's see what they're saying here. All right, we got CNN here and the New York Times. An Iranian foreign ministry official sought to temper expectations, saying there were no plans for Sunday signing, and an agreement could be inked in the coming days. They just got to push back no matter what the case is. So President Trump said the United States and Iran would sign a peace deal on Sunday, though Iran's foreign ministry publicly cautioned the timeline could be slower. The deal is scheduled to get signed tomorrow, and immediately after it's signed, the Hormuz Strait will be open to all, he said on Truth Social. The post came hours after the Prime Minister of Pakistan, a key mediator in negotiations, said the country was preparing for the electronic signing of the peace deal, followed by technical level talks next week. Neither the United States or Iran has shared text of the initial deal being considered, but U.S. and Iranian officials have said that under a memorandum of understanding, Iran would reopen the strait, the United States would lift its blockade on Iranian ports, and the current ceasefire would be extended for 60 days. I don't think that's what the United States agreed to. At least that's what we've been led to believe publicly by President Trump. I seriously doubt the United States is going to end the blockade unless they get something substantive, like the nuclear material. So that's kind of where we're at in that one, folks. Yeah, that's interesting. Let's see what CNN has to say if they got a more recent. They're saying what Iran says differs from what the U.S. is saying, and I think that's true. So officials are planning a virtual signing because meeting in person present logistical challenge and more potential for the process to get derailed. But questions remain. Iranian descriptions of the terms have differed from some details released by the U.S., including key issues such as the future of Iran's nuclear program, regional proxy groups, and frozen Iranian funds. Well, that's a little disappointing. But we'll see what happens. So it'd be nice for that to end so that people quit dying. It's kind of sucky. President Trump's name has been removed from the Kennedy Center. Oh, I'm sure people are loving that. I don't really care. Wildfires ignites after military aircraft crash near Rimrock Lake. Where's Rimrock Lake? That must be out west. Oh, yeah, and President Trump, apparently we took out the leader of Trinidad Agua. That was pretty crazy. The New York Post, a conservative publication, the oldest public newspaper in the state of New York, New York Post, which has been around for a long time, says, don't be surprised if SpaceX's shares fizzled following the initial Wall Street hype. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, but, I like to buy on the downswing. So one problem, I'm a reporter who covers such stocks. I don't buy individual shares because I can move prices, and I don't want to end up like Andrew left, the famed short seller who just got convicted of stock manipulation in California. The bigger problem, if this is so great, why come to me? Well, we'll see. But SpaceX is now valued over $2 trillion, making Elon Musk the first trillionaire. Wow, that's a lot of money, man. What are you going to do? He says, what scares me is that is also targeting the so-called dumb money, aka retail investors like me who are easy prey for Wall Street deal makers and hedge fund flippers when they sell this after the spike. Look at the continued allure of meme stocks, companies with suspect balance sheets, and online investors such push like the next Apple and Amazon. Some have folded, others have crashed and are well off their highs. Yet the meme community still exists. But SpaceX is not a meme stock, folks. SpaceX makes money. Starlink is a cash cow. It is a profit-generating machine. And even with the money that SpaceX is spending on things like artificial intelligence, they spent $18 billion on AI last year, which led to a $4.9 billion loss for the company in this reporting year. But Starlink is making money hand over fist, and it's not even everywhere. It's not in South Africa legally anyway. Musk himself is also worth more than $1 billion after the SpaceX IPO, excuse me. Yep. And this author says, more power to him. We need to reward visionary entrepreneurs who create stuff, making our lives better and more prosperous. Musk built his wealth. He weathered ups and downs along the way, and he produced. Tesla is profitable, and it wasn't always. It took him years to convince Wall Street he wasn't a fugazi. Fugazi, that's funny. But SpaceX is a going venture. High-speed internet from space, expanding cellular from space to your existing cell phone. No special equipment. Yeah, that's coming. That's coming. That's going to be something else. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. It's a great time to be alive. Technology is amazing. Hey, 93 people here, 59 likes. Hit that like button. A little bit of super chat revenue. Thank you for that. Yeah, President Trump is turning 80 today. It's the 14th. It's Flag Day, folks. It's Flag Day here in America. We represent and recognize the Stars and Stripes. 13 stripes and 50 stars representing the states and the original colonies. And it's also the U.S. Army's birthday. Happy birthday to the U.S. Army. 251 years old this year. The original force, the OG. We predate the Navy. We predate all of them. The Marines, 1775, 251 years ago. Wow. My, how the time flies. And no, I wasn't there 251 years ago. I saw that. Nice try. All right, so what else is going on? Let's take a look and see. Ooh, Toko Diziza breaks ranks in the legal battle over Palapala. What did she do? She refuses a free pass for Ramaphosa. The Palapala impeachment saga has plunged Ramaphosa and fellow ANC office bearer Toko Diziza into an unprecedented intra-party conflict as she seeks to carry out her constitutional duty to the detriment of the president's interests. Well, that's her job, and she ought to do it. Ramaphosa on Friday brought an urgent application for an interdict to the halt of the Section 89 impeachment process in Parliament, saying that Parliament cannot proceed until the judicial review he has sought of the 2022 Palapala panel's report is complete. So remember, just recently, President Ramaphosa said, I will adhere to whatever the Constitutional Court decides. We will respect the rule of law, and we'll move forward. So why is it the president is trying to, on ludicrous grounds, have the Section 89 report thrown out, claiming they exceeded their mandate? Even if they did exceed their mandate, they found prima facie evidence that there is reason for the president to answer this case. Now, let's talk about what's in play here, folks, for those who don't know. If you're new or you haven't been following what's been going on, living under a rock the past few years, a few years ago, about 6 years ago, on Christmas Day, a purported Sudanese businessman, Mr. Mustafa, you can't make this up, Mr. Mustafa came to the Palapala game ranch, and he presented $580,000 in U.S. currency, not rand, not pounds, not pula, but U.S. dollars. $580,000, still wrapped in the banknotes. Gave it apparently to the manager of the Palapala game ranch, which belongs to President Ramaphosa. And that money was delivered on Christmas Day. In February, nearly 2 months later, employees at the game ranch purportedly colluded with relatives or friends in Namibia to help them steal the money because the money was not put into a bank. It wasn't put into a safe. They actually hid the money in the couch cushions. You can't make this up. We can make a movie on this and people wouldn't believe it, but it's true. It's been admitted by Ramaphosa. It was stuffed in the couch cushions. So they stole the money. They have video of this. And then what happened was that a lot of things followed this. First off, the South African Police Service and their VIP protection unit are responsible for an annual report, which is available to Parliament. In it, they detail the expenditures, the personnel, the places they protect. And at the time, if I recall correctly, there were 43 VIP residences. In that report, which I read, because it was publicly disclosed, not a single residence was reported ever having a break-in or an incident. None of the residences they protect. Now, the problem with that is that Palapala was broken into and $580,000 was stolen, but they lied about it. So SAPS has a case to answer for as well. On top of that, according to Arthur Frazier, there was $4 to $8 million. Well, we don't know if that was the case. We haven't found evidence of that. Ramaphosa has admitted it was $580,000. So no one's talked to Mr. Mustafa. Where's he at? Anyway, the suspects who were accused of stealing the money, the police didn't go after them. The Presidential Protection Unit colluded with Namibian police, according to Namibian police themselves, who admitted this, to illegally extradite the accused from Namibia back to South Africa, where according to them, again, I wasn't there. This is what's reported in the court cases and the investigation. According to them, they were tortured. And then they were bribed to not tell anybody that they were tortured. So we got a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be addressed here. But the ANC, with its majority in parliament, buried this a few years ago. Unfortunately for them, it's back. And unfortunately for Cyril Ramaphosa, this will taint his legacy. $580,000. Now, here's the question that very few analysts ever mention or ask. Almost no one does. And I repeatedly bring this up. I have not let Pala Pala go. I've talked about Pala Pala and the clear lying that's going on about it, and potential crimes have been committed since it broke in the press over 3 years ago, at least once or twice a week, but it's back now. I've never let go of it. I'm like a dog with a bone. You cannot have this situation going on. But here's something analysts don't talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, this is $580,000 we know about. How many other deliveries to Pala Pala or to Luthuli House or to somewhere else in South Africa occurred? I don't know. Have there been others? I have no evidence of it. But now I don't trust the system because of the opaque nature and the ANC voting to cover this up. Do you know they actually have the audacity to say that he was not guilty of any crimes, President Ramaphosa? Well, that's not what their mission was in Parliament. Their mission was whether he violated the ethics of Parliament. And they said he didn't. Okay, all right. But that doesn't answer the criminal case. Why has the National Prosecuting Authority never brought forward a case on this against anybody? Against Wally Rhoda? Against Cyril Ramaphosa, against the farm manager, against SAP's officers who were involved in this? It's a good question, and it deserves an answer. So President Ramaphosa, I urge you, if you've done nothing wrong, and perhaps you've done nothing wrong, you didn't bring the money in. Maybe your farm manager never told you about it. Maybe you told him put it in the bank, and maybe you mistakenly thought it was declared because it wasn't. That's a money laundering, currency, immigration violation right there. So maybe you're innocent, President Ramaphosa. But then why are you hiding? Why don't you welcome this report so you can refute it? Sunlight is the best disinfectant. Opaque behavior is not a good approach. It doesn't engender trust and confidence. In fact, it does quite the opposite. People don't trust and don't believe anything that is said because the government and politicians hide things. Here's another thing. Has anyone reviewed President Ramaphosa's lifestyle audit? I find this fascinating that the government of South Africa refuses to do these audits for long periods of times, and these political parties refuse to do them or publicly disclose them, when as an officer in the U.S. Army, because I oversaw contracts and I executed millions of dollars expenditures and billions at one point, every year I had to disclose to the U.S. government every single brokerage account, every mutual fund, every stock I owned, when I bought them, how much I had, any liquid assets I had around the world, in the U.S., every single thing. All to make sure that I was honest. If I am forced to do that as a major or lieutenant colonel or colonel in the U.S. Army, why are the leaders of one of the most dynamic economies in all of Africa and most important countries in all of Africa not required to do the same thing? I mean, that just, it beggars the imagination. It beggars the imagination. It is beyond comprehension how this is not something that's a matter of standard practice. The two little people definitely sweet. Oh yeah, thank you, Safiloni. Yeah, many views are good. Luva Eve, thank you for the 70 rand. Bye bye, donkey. Wonder how much blood money was traded. Yeah. Hey, Bad Brads, what's up? Mike, what's going on from Nelspruit? Sorry, Umbumbela. Wasn't able to come to live for a little while, but been watching replays and videos. I like the format of the mini interviews. Gideon was such a sweet, shy little boy. He wasn't shy. He handled himself very well. The inaction of SARS is the biggest damning issue. What about the Reserve Bank? They haven't taken action. They chase me for $5,000 a month my pension, but do nothing. Yeah, they do nothing to Cyril Ramaphosa. Fun and Son says they were paid off. I don't know. I have no evidence of that. Nothing will happen to Cupcake. He'll be recalled like Zuma. He will keep his money and enjoy retirement. Probably. Because the National Prosecuting Authority is under the thumb. Hammer the citizens in line, but allow the elite to do what they want. That's why they disbanded the political killing task team force. That's also why the Scorpions no longer exist, ladies and gentlemen. The Scorpions were disbanded. It was okay for the Scorpions to go after fraud as long as it didn't touch the politically connected, the cadres, and especially ANC members of parliament. But when they began indicting ANC members of parliament, exposing what they were involved in, the Scorpions were too big a risk and they had to go. Leonard McCarthy and the Scorpions were disbanded unjustly. Now, having said that, it's ironic because I opposed the formation of the Scorpions. To me, it was an extrajudicial body that was unnecessary. But at the time, 2 decades ago, I didn't realize how deep the rot already was inside the judicial system and in the police. I didn't know that. I guess I was naive. So I thought that Scorpions was a bad idea. But then I saw that they did great work, and my opinion changed a little bit, but I was still philosophically opposed to the creation of a group. I mean, first off, they can investigate, they can arrest, they can prosecute, they can convict, they can imprison. One agency. Boy, that is a recipe for disaster. Now, they were replaced by the Chicken Hawks, the Hawks, and they've been nowhere near as effective, but they do some things very well. Nothing clears the room faster than another realm opposes a discussion. Australia is leading Turkey 1-0. Okay. I'm just glad we made it out of that. Well, they're not playing now. How could they be up 1-0? No one's playing at this hour, unless they're playing California, 9:30 tonight, maybe. Okay. Oh, 1-1 draw, says Big Fish. Oh, by the way, I predicted the Bafana score. I did say on Ronaldo's program 2-0, or if Bafana gets lucky and has a good game, it'll be 2-1. It was 2-0. All right. So cool. So who's making predictions on the Australian game? Oh, it's in Vancouver. Yeah, 3 hours behind me. It's 9:30 there. Okay, thanks, Charles. Yeah, they probably did that because it's a reasonable hour in Australia. So, you know, if you're looking, what's going on there? Hang on a second. There we go. In Sydney, it's 2 in the afternoon. Yep. So Wellington is 4:30 in the afternoon. So that's going to work out well. London is 5:30, and people aren't watching Australia from London for the most part. So it's certainly not here in the East Coast, but it'll draw a big audience out there in the West Coast. So cool. Just Rudolph Skeppers, who's here in the States, says, just glad we made it out of that crime hit rotten country with their lives intact. We'll never return even if they offer me billions of rand, he says. Wow. You're predicting a 2-0 loss. Okay. All right, cool. Okay, guys, how are we doing here? Wow. It's late. It's 12:30. Got over 100 people tuning in on a program I don't normally do, a Saturday. So there's more videos coming. I did more interviews today. I've got to edit those and post them. And I got another junior refugee. I tried to get you a fascinating 18-year-old South African refugee, but she just wouldn't budge. I tried. Her parents gave an interview, but she would not budge. You'll see that. You'll hear her in the background maybe when I edit that, but she just wouldn't do it. Too shy. Made me think of Kajagoogoo. Too shy to shy. Hush, hush, eye to eye. All right, so let's see what the poll results are. We got 69 votes. Do you like the mini interview? Okay, haven't seen them yet. So only 9% didn't like it. Wow, 9% out of 69. That means about 7 people didn't like it. Why didn't you like it? If you want to out yourself and tell us you didn't like it. Face the wrath of everybody else. No, don't pick on people for answering the question honestly. Big Fish. All right, Charles, that's going to get you a message deleted. That's borderline inappropriate. You're not going to get a timeout, though. Yeah, what's not to like snippets? That's what I said. I guess, you know, maybe some of the trolls are here tonight. Who knows? But trolls are people, too. They really are. Nasty people, but they're people. Anyway. All right, guys. So let me go back to my library here. Afrophobia, man. Which one is this? I don't remember this. Let me just play this for a second. Don't get upset. Which one? Oh no, that's okay. That I didn't delete that. That didn't come out right. Afrophobia, man, was the last one I did. Oh, and Love the Puppies. That one's still there too. Lambs in a Line. That's my theme song now. Lambs in a Line. Whoa, where did that go? That looks like somewhere in Italy. Where's that at? Anyway, sorry, my screensaver or wallpaper here just kind of threw me off. All right. So I think it's the very same thing as the 520 kg staffs confiscated that went missing. Yep. I was one of the no's. I enjoy the more in-depth. No, Big Fish, no reason to apologize. That's fine. We asked for honest opinion. I want, without feedback, I can't come to conclusions. Okay. You just like, that doesn't mean I'm not going to do long interviews, but it wasn't possible to do it here at these events. All right. So don't sweat that. Don't sweat that. Okay, guys, normally we go for at least an hour and a half tonight, but I'm going to wrap it up here. Please hit the like button if you haven't done already. That actually does help drive the algorithm. And thanks for being with us tonight. I really appreciate your presence. Have a lovely evening. And tomorrow, I won't be on my regular schedule for news, but I will bring something to you, either shorts or something like that. And check out the video I did earlier about Tara Ruas, the young journalist, political analyst in South Africa, who predicts that the DA will lose its majority in the Cape Town municipality, which is a possibility, particularly with the rise of the Patriotic Alliance and also the anger of a lot of DA voters that are flocking over to the Freedom Front Plus. So it's possible they may need the PA and the Freedom Front Plus to govern. And she claims she's gotten death threats and threats that people are going to sexually assault her. I mean, that's vile and repulsive. No one should ever go through that stuff. But then she implies that it's from DA voters. I'd like to see some proof of that. The DA is going through a database. They've taken screenshots. She says that when she predicted ANC was going to drop below 50%, no one threatened her. Well, Ms. Ruiz, you may be 100% correct, but the whole thing sounds a little fishy. But no one should ever send you a message like that. It is wildly inappropriate. And the people that did it should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Threatening a journalist is unacceptable. Threatening anybody is unacceptable, but threatening a journalist who is intending to bring you information about the world that you need to know is simply wrong. All right, bye-bye, Donkey. Quel labor. Merci mille fois. Vielen Dank und bis später. Catch you guys later. Thanks. Hit the like button. We almost got 100 now. Have a good night. See you guys.